Emma sat quietly at the campus garden, waiting for Andrew. She had been sitting there for close to an hour. She was already contemplating leaving. Andrew suddenly rushed into the garden, sweating profusely. He walked to meet Emma at the far right in the garden. "I'm sorry for keeping you waiting," Andrew apologized. "I just got here myself," she lied. "Okay, can we begin?" Andrew asked. "Sure," Emma responded. Andrew sat down beside her and started explaining the topic to her. He followed the same method he learned from Marcus. When he was done, he stood up to leave. "Have you had dinner?" Emma asked. Andrew paused. He wasn't sure if Emma was referring to him. He turned back to face her. "You mean me?" he asked. "Yes," Emma responded. "No, I haven't, but I'll go to a restaurant on my way to my dorm," Andrew responded. "Why don't you come to my dorm? I made pasta," Emma suggested. Andrew never expected her to invite him to her dorm. "You mean I should come to your dorm?" he asked. "Yes," she responded. "What about your roommate?" Andrew asked. Andrew knew very well that Sarah was Emma's roommate, but he just wanted to confirm it. "Sarah is my roommate, so there's nothing to worry about," Emma responded. "Oh, really? Your roommate is Sarah?" Andrew said, surprised. "Yes," Emma responded. "Okay then, I can come to your dorm," Andrew said. "Let's start going then," Emma said. They stood up and left the garden. Rachel sat on her bed, staring at her phone screen. She had been staring at the screen for close to 30 minutes. She wanted to call Marcus, but couldn't summon the courage to do so. Her main reason for requesting Marcus's number from Brandon was not because she wanted to plead on Sarah's behalf, but because she just wanted to hear Marcus's voice. She had been crushing on Marcus ever since she set her eyes on him. She just had to hear his voice, or she wouldn't be able to fall asleep. She took a deep breath, trying to summon all the courage she could. She waited for the next 2 minutes and dialed Marcus's number. She placed the phone to her ear and waited for him to pick up. Her heart was beating in rhythm with the ringing of the call. "Hello?" a deep, masculine voice answered at the other end. Rachel froze immediately when she heard the voice. That was certainly Marcus's voice. "Marcus," she called. "Yes, who am I speaking to?" Marcus asked. "This is Rachel, your classmate," she answered quickly. The atmosphere was too tense for her already. "Oh, Rachel, how are you?" Marcus asked, surprised. "I'm fine, and you?" Rachel asked. She seemed relaxed already. "I'm fine too," Marcus responded. "I didn't see you in statistics class today," Rachel said. "Wow, you actually called because you're concerned about me. That's so nice of you. It makes me feel special," Marcus responded. Rachel couldn't hide the smile on her face. She never expected such a nice response from Marcus. She was expecting him to start asking questions about how she got his number, but he never did. "You know you're my friend. I just wanted to know why you weren't in class," she said. "That's very nice of you. I really appreciate it. I was with Professor Davis all through that period. That's why I didn't attend the class," Marcus responded. "Okay, if you need the statistics notes to copy, I can always give you mine. And if you need someone to explain it to you, you can always come to me," Rachel said. "That's very kind of you. Thanks," Marcus said. "You're welcome," Rachel responded. "See you in school tomorrow," Marcus said. "See you too," she responded, and ended the call. She stared at her phone screen with a smile on her face. She didn't believe they could have such a smooth conversation. She dropped her phone and rolled from one side of her bed to the other. Sarah sat on her bed, staring at the door. She was waiting for Emma to return. Emma left the dorm without telling her where she was going, and it was already 8 p.m., and she still hadn't returned. The door suddenly opened and Emma entered. "Why did you leave?" Sarah wanted to ask, but stopped immediately when she saw Andrew walking behind Emma. "Andrew, what are you doing here?" Sarah asked, surprised. "I invited him to have dinner with us," Emma responded. "Oh, really? Welcome to our room, Andrew," Sarah said. "Thanks," Andrew responded. "Please have a seat," Sarah said, pointing to a chair in the room. "Thanks," Andrew responded and sat down. "Andrew actually helped me out with that statistics topic," Emma told Sarah. "Wow, that's very nice of you," Sarah said to Andrew. "If you also need my help, you shouldn't hesitate to ask. I'd be glad to help," Andrew said. "Okay, I will. Thanks very much," Sarah said. Emma brought a plate of pasta and served Andrew. "Thank you," Andrew responded and took the food. As he ate silently, he kept thinking about how he would tell Sarah that he liked her. He didn't want to waste any more time. He would ask her out the next time they met. He wouldn't want to do it now in Emma's presence. When he was done eating, he thanked them and stood up to leave. "Let me walk you out," Emma said, and stood up as well. Andrew waved at Sarah and left the room with Emma. They walked side by side until they got to the dorm entrance. "Okay, thanks once more for the food," Andrew said. Thanks also for taking time to explain sampling theory to me. I really appreciate it, Emma said. It's nothing. Whenever you need my help, don't hesitate to ask, Andrew responded. You're a very nice guy, Emma said, staring deeply into Andrew's eyes. You're a very nice woman, too. And you're very pretty, Andrew responded. Emma stared at Andrew with her face curved in a smile, and Andrew stared back. After a while of staring silently at each other, Andrew spoke. Okay then, see you in school tomorrow, Andrew said. Okay, see you too, Emma responded. Andrew turned and left for his dorm. Emma didn't leave. She stood at the same spot staring at Andrew's retreating figure with a smile on her face. When Andrew was out of sight, she turned and walked back to her room. Andrew woke up very early the next day and prepared for lectures. He was smiling all through. He had made a promise that he would tell Sarah how he felt about her. Just imagining the fact that Sarah would soon become his girlfriend was giving him so much joy. He would treat her like the queen she was, when she finally agreed to be his girlfriend. He left the dorm when he was ready, without waiting for Marcus. He was so anxious to go to lectures. All through the lecture, Andrew didn't pay attention to what the professor was saying. He kept taking glances at Sarah from time to time. He had already prepared what he would say to Sarah when he was alone with her. Brandon, on the other hand, was also lost in thought. He also wasn't paying attention to what the professor was teaching. His eyes were just fixed on Rachel, who was sitting at the far left in the class. Immediately the professor left the class, Brandon rushed to sit beside Rachel. Hi, he greeted. Hi, Rachel responded. How was the class, he asked. It was okay, Rachel responded. So where are you heading now, Brandon asked. I'm going to have lunch, Rachel responded. Can we go together? I'm also going to have lunch, Brandon said. Okay, no problem then, Rachel responded and stood up. Brandon and Rachel left the class to have lunch. Brandon and Rachel sat quietly in the dining hall close to the academic building, eating their lunch. If you are enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means a lot to us. We are just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video. Brandon kept taking side glances at Rachel as she ate. He couldn't believe that the woman he liked was having lunch with him. He was very sure that he liked Rachel as more than a friend, but his problem was, he didn't think he could be able to tell her that he liked her. That had always been his problem. He didn't have the courage to tell a woman he liked that he liked her. He had never confessed his feelings to a woman. He would lose the woman he liked to another guy, because he couldn't tell her that he liked her. He would try his best for that not to be the case with Rachel. Even if he couldn't tell her with words, he would show it in his actions. She would come to realize how much he loved her when he showered her with love. They ate silently, and when they were done, Rachel tried to pay for her meal, but Brandon stopped her. Don't worry, I'll take care of it, Brandon said. You don't have to, Rachel responded. I insist, Brandon said. Okay, if you insist. Thanks, Rachel said. You're welcome, Brandon responded. Brandon paid for their meal, and they left the dining hall together. Andrew went to the campus garden after lecture to see Sarah sitting at the far left in the garden. He couldn't control his joy when he saw her sitting there alone. That was the perfect opportunity for him to tell her that he liked her. He walked slowly to meet Sarah and sat beside her. Hi, Andrew greeted. Hi, Sarah responded. Why are you sitting here alone, Andrew asked. Getting some fresh air, Sarah responded. There was a deafening silence for a while. Sarah, Andrew called. Yes, Sarah responded. I want to confess something to you, Andrew said. Sarah didn't respond immediately. She stared at Andrew suspiciously. What is it? She asked slowly. Andrew took a deep breath and stared deeply at Sarah. I know this might not be the best time for me to say this, but I just have to say it because it's been troubling me. I like you, Sarah. I like you very much. I want us to start dating, he said, and waited curiously for her response. Sarah stared at Andrew, surprised. She wanted to speak, but words couldn't come out of her mouth. She couldn't find the right words to say to Andrew. After staring silently at Andrew for a while, she sighed. Andrew, she called softly. Yes, dear, Andrew responded. I don't think I'm ready for any relationship. I'm very sorry, I can't date you, Sarah responded. Andrew couldn't believe what he just heard. It was as if someone had just dropped a heavy load on his head. He never believed Sarah could turn him down. He was so confident. He suddenly wished he hadn't asked her to date him. He couldn't say or do anything again. He just stared silently at Sarah. Sarah stared silently at him as well. The garden suddenly became too quiet. Even a drop of a pin could be heard. Sarah suddenly heard her name from behind. She turned to see her class representative, Tyler, walking toward her. "Sarah, I've been looking for you all over the academic building," Tyler said immediately when he got to Sarah. "Why are you looking for me?" Sarah asked. "Professor Davis wants to see you now," Tyler responded. "Okay, let me go and meet him then," Sarah said, and left the garden immediately. She didn't bother asking why Professor Davis was looking for her. She just wanted to leave the garden. She didn't like the atmosphere in the garden. She wasn't expecting Andrew to say such a thing to her. Andrew sat quietly at the garden. He still couldn't believe that Sarah had just turned him down. When he was tired of sitting, he stood up and left the garden. Sarah stood in front of Professor Davis's office. She didn't know why he wanted to see her. She didn't bother asking her class rep, because she just wanted to leave that awkward moment with Andrew. She breathed a sigh of relief and knocked softly on the door. She opened the door and entered when she didn't hear any response. The first person she saw when she entered Professor Davis's office was Marcus. Her heart missed a beat when she saw him. She couldn't explain why, but she suddenly became unsettled when she saw Marcus in Professor Davis's office. Could it be that Marcus came to report her to Professor Davis? That certainly couldn't be the case. Professor Davis was sitting behind his desk. He was working on some files on his desk. "Good afternoon, sir," Sarah greeted. Professor Davis looked up from his desk to see Sarah and Marcus standing in front of him. "You're here already. Please have your seats," Professor Davis said, pointing to the two visitors' chairs. Sarah and Marcus sat down quietly, waiting for Professor Davis to state his reason for calling them to his office. "Without wasting much of your time, let me go straight to the point," Professor Davis began. "There will be an interlevel academic competition in a month's time. Since I'm your academic advisor and your statistics professor, I have chosen you both to represent your class. You have proven to be the best in your class. I'm informing you early beforehand, so that you can prepare very well for it. There are lots of prizes that come with it, and the ultimate prize is very appealing. No student in your year has ever won it. I want you to make the difference. You guys need to study hard. The topics aren't limited to your current level. I will give you some materials you'll be working with. You'll have to decide between yourselves when you'll be meeting to study. I'll give you a chance to make the decision, and when you're done, you can come back to meet me," Professor Davis explained. Marcus and Sarah stared at him in surprise. They were not expecting such. It meant they would have to work together from now on. They couldn't avoid each other anymore. "You can leave now. When you have made your decision, you can come back to meet me," Professor Davis said. Marcus and Sarah stood up and left his office. Marcus entered his room to see Andrew lying on his bed. He noticed Andrew wasn't in a good mood. He walked to sit beside him on his bed. "What's wrong?" Marcus asked. Andrew didn't respond. He only stared blankly into the air. "Talk to me, Andrew. What's wrong?" Marcus asked again. Andrew turned to face Marcus for the first time. "She turned me down," he said sadly. "Who turned you down?" Marcus asked. If you are enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means a lot to us. We are just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video. "Sarah turned me down," he said. Marcus stared at him, not knowing what to say next. He didn't know whether to comfort him or just tell him to forget about her. He was even about to tell him that Sarah and he had become study partners, but with the look of things, he couldn't say anything to him. Marcus placed a hand on Andrew's shoulder. "What did she say to you?" Marcus asked. "She said she's not ready for any relationship," Andrew responded. "And you're going to give up because of that? Maybe she hasn't seen enough reason why she should date you. All you have to do is show her that you're the best guy for her, and when she realizes that, she'll agree to date you," Marcus advised. Andrew sat up immediately. "You might be right. Maybe I rushed the whole thing and didn't give her time to know me better," Andrew said. "Exactly," Marcus responded. "So what do you think I should do?" Andrew asked. "Just keep things normal with her. You should also use that opportunity to show her how much you care about her. And after some time, you should ask her out again," Marcus advised. "Thank you very much, Marcus. That's what I'll do," Andrew said. "You're welcome," Marcus responded. Andrew stood up from the bed and walked to the door. "Where are you going?" Marcus asked. "To have lunch. I haven't eaten anything since morning," Andrew responded. "So you're starving yourself because a woman turned you down," Marcus said. Andrew didn't respond. He just quietly opened the door and went out. Brandon and Rachel sat quietly at the far left in the campus garden. They had been sitting there quietly since they left the dining hall where they went to have lunch. Rachel suddenly broke the silence. "Brandon, you've been so nice to me all through today. I'm just curious to know why, Rachel said. I'm always nice to nice women, he responded, not sure if that was the best way to respond. That's good. But you should know that the one who needs your attention more is your girlfriend, Rachel said. I don't have any girlfriend, Brandon cut in immediately. Rachel stared at him, surprised at how quickly he responded. The way Brandon corrected her immediately made it look as if he was trying to prevent any topic that had to do with girlfriends. But unknown to Rachel, Brandon only responded quickly for her to know that he was still single and ready to have her as his girlfriend. Okay, if you say so, Rachel said. I really don't have a girlfriend, Brandon said, stressing the words. Let's start leaving. I have some things to do in my dorm, Rachel said. Okay, Brandon responded. They stood up and left the garden. Emma entered the campus dining hall to see Andrew having lunch at the far left of the dining hall. Her face curved in a smile when she saw him. She walked to meet him and sat down beside him. Hi, she greeted. Hi, Andrew responded. You're always coming to the dining hall to eat. Can't your girlfriend at least come to your dorm to prepare something for you, she joked. She was indirectly trying to know if he had a girlfriend. I don't have a girlfriend yet, but why should a woman go to her boyfriend's dorm to cook for him, Andrew asked. I can do that for my boyfriend. It's no big deal, Emma responded. You mean you can go to your boyfriend's dorm to cook for him, Andrew asked. I don't have a boyfriend yet, but I'll do that for him when I have one, Emma responded. Any guy who has you as his girlfriend will be very lucky. You'll surely take good care of him, Andrew said. I can come cook for you since you don't have a girlfriend to do that for you, Emma suggested. You know I won't allow you to do that. You're in this school to study and not to cook for a guy, Andrew said. But I enjoy cooking, Emma responded. I know, but not going to a guy's dorm to cook for him, Andrew said. Okay, but you know you can always come to my place to eat, Emma said. Sure, Andrew responded. Andrew ate his food silently, and when he was done, they left the dining hall together. Sarah was seen pacing up and down in front of Marcus's dorm building. She was waiting for him to come out so that they could make a decision on when they would be meeting for their personal study. She had earlier agreed to meet Marcus in front of his dorm so that they could make the decision, and she had been standing in front of Marcus's dorm for close to an hour, but he was still not coming out. She was becoming impatient already. She decided to go see what was delaying Marcus from coming out, since she knew his room number. Andrew had once told her their room number. She entered into the dorm and walked from one door to the other until she got to Marcus's door. She knocked softly on the door. Come in, she heard Marcus's voice from within. She opened the door and entered to see Marcus sitting on his bed. He was solving some problems. Marcus stared at her, surprised. He never expected to see her in his room. So you're right here in your room doing nothing, while I've been standing outside for hours waiting for you, Sarah snapped. I thought you wouldn't come, Marcus said. Didn't we agree to meet in front of your dorm? Sarah asked. But I still thought you wouldn't come. Anyway, I'm sorry, he apologized. He brought out a piece of paper from his pocket and showed it to Sarah. I'll give this to Professor Davis. We'll be meeting on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 6 p.m. I think these are the best days since we won't be having many lectures on those days, Marcus said. I don't agree to that, Sarah said. Why? Marcus asked. I'm always busy on those days. I think Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays should be okay, Sarah responded. How can you suggest those days when you know the workload we always have, Marcus said. The truth was that Sarah was okay with the days Marcus suggested, but the fact that he unilaterally made the decision without consulting her was why she disagreed. Those are the days that will be okay for me, Sarah responded. You can't be serious. I'm taking the paper to Professor Davis as our decision, Marcus said. Sarah immediately grabbed the paper from Marcus and walked to the door. Marcus rushed to meet her and held her hand from behind. Sarah tried to forcefully free herself from Marcus, but Marcus wrapped his arms around her and struggled to get the paper from her. While they were still struggling with the paper, the door suddenly opened and Andrew walked in. He froze when he saw Marcus, with his arms wrapped around Sarah. The way Marcus's arms were wrapped around Sarah made it look as if Marcus was embracing her. Andrew stared at them, and they stared back, still in the same position. Marcus needed no one to tell him that Andrew might have misunderstood what he saw. After staring silently at them, Andrew turned and left the room. Marcus immediately released Sarah when Andrew left. If you are enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means a lot to us. We are just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video. Marcus knew very well that he had a lot of explaining to do. Marcus stood still, staring at the door Andrew just walked out from. He couldn't do or say anything. He knew very well that Andrew might have misunderstood what he saw. Sarah also stood still without saying a word. She was waiting for Marcus to say the first word. When Marcus didn't say anything, she turned and walked to the door. Marcus followed behind her, knowing fully well that she was going to Professor Davis's office. He didn't want to argue with her anymore. He would agree to any decision she made. He had made a mistake already and wouldn't want to add to it. He followed her out of the room and locked the door behind him. Sarah stood in front of Professor Davis's office, with Marcus standing right behind her. She was still holding the paper she grabbed from Marcus. She knocked softly on the door. "Come in," Professor Davis's voice sounded from within. Sarah opened the door and entered. Marcus followed behind her immediately. "Good afternoon, sir," they greeted in unison. Professor Davis looked up from the magazine he was reading. "Good afternoon," Professor Davis responded. "Have you made your decision?" "Yes, sir," Sarah responded. She handed the paper she was holding to Professor Davis. "We have agreed to meet Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays," Sarah said. Marcus stared at her, surprised. That was the same suggestion he made to her, which she refused. If she was going to agree, why then did she have to make a scene back there in his room? Professor Davis stared at the paper for a while and dropped it on his desk. "Okay, good. That means you'll be meeting today. Let me give you some materials you'll be working with," Professor Davis said, and brought out some materials from his drawer. He handed the materials to Sarah. "You should work with this for now. I'll announce it in class later on that you both will be representing your class. But for now, no one should know about it. Not even your close friends. Is that clear?" Professor Davis said. "Yes, sir," they responded in unison. "Okay, you may leave now. When you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know," Professor Davis said. "Thank you, sir," they responded, and left his office. Marcus stretched his phone to Sarah once they were out of Professor Davis's office, and without asking any question, Sarah took the phone. She knew Marcus was asking for her number. She typed her number and returned the phone to Marcus. Marcus took the phone and they went their separate ways. Marcus entered his room to see Andrew sitting in a chair. He was busy solving problems. He pretended like he didn't see Marcus. Marcus stared at him for a while and went to lie on his bed. He didn't know whether to explain what happened earlier to Andrew or not. And moreover, there was no way he could explain things to Andrew without mentioning Sarah's reason for coming to their room. There was no way he could explain it without telling him that Sarah and he were preparing for an upcoming competition. Professor Davis warned them not to tell anyone. He didn't know why Professor Davis said that, but he wouldn't want to disobey him. He would explain everything to Andrew when the time was right. As for now, he wouldn't say anything to him, since he didn't ask. Andrew continued with what he was doing without looking in Marcus's direction. Rachel sat on her bed with her phone in her hand. She wanted to call Marcus but couldn't. After minutes of holding the phone without making any call, she dropped the phone on her bed and lay on her back. "I can't continue like this. This is not the best way to go about it. I can't keep calling him whenever I need to hear his voice. He'll get tired of my calls someday. I need to look for a different way to go about this. I need to go to my cousin's dorm to seek her advice on this. She might be able to help. She's more experienced than me." "I think I should go to her dorm," she said, and stood up from her bed. She took her phone from her bed and left her room. Marcus sat up on his bed. He looked at his phone and realized it was almost time for his personal study with Sarah. He looked at Andrew's bed and realized he was no longer in the room. He stood up from his bed, took his wallet, and left the room. Sarah sat on her bed, preparing for her study with Marcus. She packed the books on her bed and put them inside her backpack. She was the only one in the room. Emma had not returned. Her door suddenly opened and Rachel walked in. She went to sit beside Sarah on her bed. "What's up, Sarah?" Rachel said. "I'm good," Sarah responded. "Are you going out?" Rachel asked, when she saw Sarah packing some books into her bag. "Yes," Sarah responded. "Where is my cousin?" Rachel asked. "Emma isn't back yet," Sarah responded. "Let me get something from the other room. I'll be right back." "Okay," Rachel responded. Sarah stood up and left the room. Rachel sat alone in the room, looking at every corner of the room. Sarah's phone suddenly started ringing on her bed. Rachel ignored it at first, but when it kept ringing, she took it from the bed. She looked closely at the phone and realized that the call was from Marcus, the same Marcus who had been giving her sleepless nights. "Why is Marcus calling Sarah?" she mumbled. "I thought they weren't on good terms, or have they set aside their differences? Even at that, they shouldn't be that close for Marcus to have her number." She was still mumbling when the phone stopped ringing. It started ringing almost immediately. Out of curiosity, she picked up the call and placed the phone to her ear without saying anything. "Meet me at the gate," Marcus's voice sounded at the other end. Before she could say anything, Marcus ended the call. She stared at the phone, confused. Marcus's tone sounded like an order. He sounded like he was ordering Sarah to meet him at the gate. While she was still staring at the phone, the door opened and Sarah walked in. "Marcus called," Rachel said immediately when she saw Sarah. "Oh, so he's called. What did he say?" Sarah asked. "He said you should meet him at the gate," Rachel responded. "Okay, let me start going then," Sarah said. She carried her bag and took her phone from Rachel. "Are you guys—" Rachel wanted to ask a question. "Never mind," she said instead. "Okay, see you later," Sarah said, and walked to the door. Rachel stared at Sarah until she left the room. It was obvious that she had a lot of questions on her mind. She wanted to ask Sarah if she and Marcus were now an item. She prayed silently for that not to be the case, because she couldn't stand to see Marcus dating another woman, and most especially her close friend. "I hope there's nothing going on between them. I have to find out and put a stop to it. I have to use every means possible to make sure that their relationship doesn't work. If it's true that they're seeing each other, I'll do everything possible to make Marcus mine," she said, and lay on Sarah's bed. Sarah and Marcus sat quietly at the campus garden. They were the only ones in the garden. Every other student had gone back to their dorms. The garden was very quiet and conducive for reading. They were both holding different materials which they were reading. Even though they were sitting very close to each other, they had not said anything to each other since they got to the garden. They weren't even studying together. Each of them was reading their own material. They weren't working together as they should have. Andrew suddenly walked into the garden. He froze immediately when he saw Marcus and Sarah sitting at the far left in the garden. They were too engrossed in what they were reading that they didn't notice his presence. Andrew quickly hid behind a tree and stared at them from a distance. He frowned when he saw Marcus sitting very close to Sarah. He glared at them. His eyes suddenly turned red. If those eyes were guns, about 6 bullets would have pierced into Marcus's body. He glared at them with so much pain in his heart. "Someone I thought was my friend went behind me to get the woman I love. So people could be this wicked," he said bitterly. "Marcus, don't think you've won, because I'll surely come back for you. You'll regret going for the woman I love. I'm going to make you regret doing this to me. Just wait and see. You've just drawn the battle line. You'll surely regret this. I promise you," Andrew swore. He glared at them one last time and left the garden without their awareness.